Guys, if your name all right, awesome. Let's praise God. Okay. If your name is not on free energy, guys, go get 12 energy customers. Get yourself free energy. It only makes sense. If your name was not on the top qualifications, make sure next week you do whatever you got to do this coming week. On top of doing Zooms, get your team paid, get them customer qualified. Because once you get them customer qualified, bonuses get released to the team. And last but not least, if you're CQ on this call, this will be your last call as a CQ, and you're going to be an executive team leader on the next call. So we could put your name on that list. So excited for you, for all the people that got promoted and on the top qualifiers of free energy. Now I'm going to get myself out of the way. And guys, we're going to introduce somebody that is I call the keynote speaker of ACN. Guys, he is by far the best speaker that ACN has. I mean, they want this guy to speak at every single event. And the fact that we have him every single Friday night, could we agree we have an unfair advantage? And he's a creator of the system. He's a creator of the system. So you're about to hear the system who he created. He's going to teach you exactly how. Not only did he go senior vice president once, but he went senior vice president twice. How many of you guys just want to go senior vice president once? So is it safe to say we should follow a guy that did it twice, right? If he could do it twice, we could at least do it once. And not only did he go senior vice president twice, right now he's the number 1 and number 2 senior vice president in all of ACN. And he's going to teach you exactly how he's doing it. The system that made all the regional vice president, all the top regional directors having success. Guys, it's because of the system that you're about to learn here today. Melissa's recording it. Guys, take your recorders out, take pictures, pay attention the next few minutes of what this gentleman's going to say, because this system right here will change your life like it's changed thousands of other people's all around the country, because he has regional vice president in Australia that's part of the system. Think about that for a second. He's in Dallas, Texas, and there's people in Australia listening to this system. And he literally, Australia was dead, meaning there was nothing going on. And this system, because what Pat and Mike created, Australia is back on the map. So, guys, you're about to learn something that's helped thousands of people. And without any further ado, Circle of Champions member, Senior Vice President, Mr. Patrick Mazer.
About you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good. I don't know about you, but I feel good.
All right. Happy Friday night, everybody. Man, I love getting together with leaders. I love impact players. I love people that are world-class champions. And that's what I was introduced to today by Mr. Harsh Patel. Came into ACN, no background in what we do here today, took the system that we're going to share with you here today and took it to the top of the compensation plan. Not only did he do that, but he's a Circle Champion member. Matter of fact, he's the number 1 regional vice president in all of ACN. Can we show him our appreciation? Thank you, Harsh, for an incredible training. Thank you for guiding, teaching, coaching, mentoring, and doing what you do on a daily basis. And tonight's going to be a little different than what we normally do. We're going to teach you what allowed this team to dominate around the world month after month, year after year, pretty soon, decade after decade. And so I think we all can agree that any great organization, whether it be the Walmart, the Starbucks, the McDonald's, I'm talking the duplicatable organizations, have done exceptionally well because they understood the necessity to make sure everybody was doing the same thing, following a system. How many of you have been to a Chick-fil-A? Can we agree they are incredibly dedicated to their system? How many of you have ever went into the drive-through of a Chick-fil-A and said, man, where do they find these nice people at? Like, how do you get people this nice standing in the blaring sun on an August day? How are you? Great to have you here. And let me tell you how they did that. They trained them. See, anybody that's had success is trained. We don't make any money on training, but we make a whole bunch of money with trained people. And tonight we want to teach you something, not as a student. I want to teach you it so that you can teach it. Does that make sense? Meaning, I don't want you to look at this tonight like I've got to follow the system. No, you've got to look at this like I'm going to teach the system, and I'm going to be showing people how to do what's going to allow them to be free. Now, for those of you that have been around a while, we actually just had our residual income posted on our back office. And so can you imagine going to your back office tonight and seeing a residual check that covered all of your bills, that you didn't have to worry what the car payment was or what the mortgage payment was or what the insurance payment was or any of that? How many of us here could really fall in love with that idea of having all of our bills taken care of with the residual check? See, if that's you here tonight, understand we're going to show you how to make that work, how that can be possible for you as it has for us and many other people. And so for our first couple of years in ACN, we didn't have a lot of success. Matter of fact, there was nobody, talking good about us. Matter of fact, we had, really nothing to point to when it came to success. We were working hard and we always prided ourselves on hard work, meaning we thought working hard was a badge of honor because it was our business. So we never said no to doing a presentation or, hey, somebody wants to hear about what you're up to over here and over there. We just naturally went out and did it because that's what we signed up for, being a business of our own, going out and becoming free. And what we realized over time was we were working really hard, but we weren't having the kind of success that we truly wanted to have. Number one, people couldn't do what we did. Meaning in a lot of cases, we were traveling the country, we were driving from one side of the state to the other. Somebody wanted to hear about ACN at a coffee shop. I drove to a coffee shop. Somebody else said, hey, my cousin in another state wants to hear about it. I drove to the other state to teach or share the idea with somebody else. And so what we did is we finally stood back and we said, look, what do we need to do to make this work? And we started studying franchises. Not only did we start studying them, we actually went out and purchased a franchise. Now, we didn't buy it because we wanted a franchise. We wanted to experience what it felt like to own a franchise. And so when we first purchased it, the first thing we realized is that training was mandatory. Like there was not any, hey, do you want to come to training? Is it convenient for you? It was, you're going to be at training. This is the week you're going to be at training. You're going to pay for training. You're going to pay for your hotel room. You're going to pay for your food. This is after we gave them tens of thousands of dollars to buy the franchise. So we just bought the franchise and it was like, okay, now that you own the franchise, now you got to come learn how to run it. Now, the second thing we realized when we went there to training is they didn't ask our opinion. They didn't say, hey, what do you think? They didn't ask, hey, what do you want to do? They said, look, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. And they went even as far as saying, look, you're not going to take a vacation. You're not going to be out doing what other people do. Because what I realized was a lot of people that bought a franchise might not have owned a business in the past. So they were from the very beginning getting your mind right with what you're going to have to go through to be successful in the franchise world. Meaning it's unthinkable you not to work 6.5 days a week. It's unthinkable for you not to be there every single day to greet your customer and to go out and build your franchise. That's what you signed up for. Matter of fact, if your franchise didn't hit a certain number quarter after quarter, they had the right to take it back from you. Imagine that. Imagine if you were in ACN and said, hey, if you didn't do X, Y, and Z, we're just going to take it from you. And the customers that you brought and all the business that you built, we're just going to keep it. See, but what we realized was they left nothing to chance, meaning there was nothing you needed to think about. And that's the part that stood out to us. We were like, look, if we could bring people in and we could tell them, you can take your brain and put it on the sidelines. You don't even need to think. If you just do it the way we show you to do it, we will guarantee you to have success. And so what we started to do is we started to break down ACN and we came up with a system that married into our compensation plan, meaning our compensation plan and our system works hand in glove. And so what you're going to see here this evening is how we've been able to not only take that system and dominate for 15 plus years, but then all of a sudden the pandemic came. And the way we used to do things, we had to change. See, back in 2019, you would have drove to a Friday night leadership. What you're seeing here tonight, we were doing in cities all around the United States. We were talking at the RVP and above level, how some people said, man, I used to drive 2 hours on Friday night just to come to training and then drive 2 hours on their way home. Matter of fact, Rick Cordero, regional vice president, he's in New York City. We used to do Friday night leadership every single Friday night in Manhattan. Now, I don't, if you've ever been to Manhattan, you've always been there and there's traffic. How many of you noticed that? And parking is always difficult. And imagine every Friday night, that's what we did. So again, we've had a lot of success. We made a lot of money. Things are really good. And then the pandemic hit and all of a sudden we could do leadership online. Now, how many of us see the value of that? That now, look, Matt can be at home with his newborn, but still participating. Like that wouldn't have been possible in 2019. He would have kissed the newborn on the head and said, hey, I'll see you at training, because that's what you do. So how many of us agree with some difficulty also comes opportunity? Now all of a sudden things got a little easier when it comes to the training, that you have access to people that you wouldn't have had access to unless you lived in that town or drove to that event. Second thing, we went from doing PBRs, which stood for private business receptions, into PBZs, private business Zooms. Now we had an opportunity to take what we've already done that has worked and now brought it into the 21st century, if you will, with Zoom technology. Now, here's what we realized. We realized that we were inefficient in doing the business prior to our system because we were talking to people one at a time. Now, can you imagine if we told you, set us up with one of your friends and we do the presentation? Now set us up with your second friend and we do the presentation. In 5 hours, we could talk to 5 people if we spend an hour in a presentation, meaning 20-minute presentation, 20-minute answering questions, and then drive 20 minutes to your next presentation. Does everybody clear on? That's what we did. And then all of a sudden we said, instead of talking to them one at a time, what if we put them in a group? And what if we put them in a group and they saw the presentation in a group and they put their hand up and said, I want to do this business? How many of us agree they will duplicate the group? Because that's what they know. And because we put them in a group, they wouldn't ask us to talk to somebody one at a time because that's not how they got enrolled. Can we agree the way you were brought in is the way you bring other people in? And how do I know that? Well, guess what? Prior to the system, I would meet people at a coffee shop. Guess what they would want to do? Meeting at the coffee shop. I would meet somebody at somebody's office. Guess what they would want to do? Well, I want to meet you at my office. I would meet somebody at the country club. Guess what they would? I want to meet at the country club. See, everything you and I do duplicates. And you want to remember duplication because that's the road to financial freedom. So now that we're doing PBZs, private business Zooms, this is what allows us to go out and share the vision with people, groups at a time. And so as I go through this, understand, although to you that might not seem like a big deal, imagine us talking to people one at a time and now going to talking to them 10 at a time. How many of you agree? Big deal. That's like shoveling with a shovel or getting a backhoe. Can we agree? A big difference between the two. So let's talk a little bit about what we can do to really help you make this work in a big way. And the first thing I want to start with is it's a 3-part system, okay? The first part of our system is private business Zooms. That's the absolute first part. The second part to our system is weekly trainings and Friday night leadership. Weekly trainings and Friday night leadership. So as you know, we do Tuesday night, we do Thursday night, we do Sunday night, which is a basic training where we give basic information out to people that like what they heard in a Zoom meeting, but they need more information, or maybe they signed up at the Zoom meeting, but you still got to train them. That's what the weekly training does. Do you notice in our weekly trainings how we only have the best of the best training, so that we put our best trainers to train your new person or to help your person make the decision to join the team? Friday night leadership is designed to take it from basic information to advanced information. And then the third part of our system is live events. How many of you heard live events from some of the top executives and the top regional directors? And here's our experience is the live event is what you want to build up to. Now, the goal of the PBZ, the goal is to have the most effective professional launch for your new IBO. See, this is the best way for you to have that new person get off to a great start, is to schedule their own private business Zoom. Now, why do you want to schedule their own? Because they have to have ownership of the meeting. Can we agree if 2 or 3 people are doing a meeting together, there's not really any responsibility or any accountability because it's multiple people inviting instead of that new IBO launching their business. Now, let me tell you what that does. It brings customers and it brings new IBOs. Why do I know that? Because if you invited 20 people you know to a presentation, you know going into it that probably 14 of them are not going to want to do the business, if for whatever the reason that is. And that's not up to us why people don't do things. We're looking for the yeses. We're not looking for the nos. But can we agree that's 14 people that took the time out to come to a presentation that, if asked properly, would probably become a customer if asked properly. So if you see somebody that's new that doesn't have any customers, how many of us agree because we didn't do a PBZ with them? Meaning we didn't expose the business to enough people for them to help them get the customers and get the representatives all in the same presentation. Now, this also gets you in a position where it helps that new IBO get promoted to qualified IBO or customer qualified, because that allows them to come to leadership. See, you want to run people through a system, schedule their Zoom meeting, right? Help them get their customers taken care of from the no's and the I'm not sure's, help them sign up a couple people that do like the idea, and then get them into leadership. Leadership is going to allow for them to become a leader, where they're going to start to step into that role of duplication. Now, second thing we want to talk about is you've got to have a presenter. And all of you here tonight have to step into that presenter mentality. The first thing you want to do is, if you're on this Zoom tonight, you've got to get yourself a Zoom account. You've got to get yourself a pro Zoom account, because that's how we show people the business, is on a pro Zoom account. The free account has a 40-minute expiration, and there's nothing more embarrassing than having somebody run out of time and all of a sudden now we got to recreate another Zoom meeting, all because we didn't buy our Zoom Pro account. Second thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to download the presentation slides on Wealth Institute Inc. Now, why is this important? Because you cannot present without the slides. Also, even if you are there as a support of the meeting, meaning, you know, you got the presenter, Harsh Patel's a presenter, you're there as a support system, you also should have the slides to show people the close at the end of the presentation. Meaning when you get into a breakout room, that's going to be one of the things that you're going to want to be able to do, is share the slides to show people why they should get involved in ACN tonight. And the final piece is you want to have breakout rooms enabled. Breakout rooms allow for us to do a presentation with 10 people and then take those 10 people and put them in breakout rooms so leaders can go in, answer questions, help them make a decision on the service, or help them make a decision on joining the team. This is what you've got to have going into every presentation that you do. Now, why should you come early? Number one is, can we agree there's nothing more unprofessional in starting late, or starting where you're coming and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I finally made it, and already the meeting isn't in a relaxed situation because you're late. See, I believe by coming early, you're going to do a couple of things. Number one, you're going to get the confidence up of that new IBO. How many of us agree they're going to be nervous? Look, it's unnormal not to be nervous, meaning people are nervous when they do something new. So think about what they did. They invited people together to a Zoom. You showed up a couple minutes early, they're there, and you got to assure them that things are going to be great. Man, remember, this is a mindset thing to say, look, things are going to be great. I'm a professional. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. And then you want to go over with the host how to edify you, the presenter. Now, why? Because they don't know what to say. So you want to teach them what to say. Hey guys, welcome out. I'm excited that you all made it. We have an amazing presenter. Her name is Melissa Street. She's a top producing executive with this company. I'm so excited that she's here tonight. And Melissa, I want to turn the meeting over to you. Okay, great. Now repeat what I just said. Do you see how making them say that, the introduction is what's going to make the meeting good? Everybody thinks it's the presenter. It's not the presenter. It's the introduction. And here's why. You're setting the tone of the presentation. Now, I've been introduced a couple different ways in my career. First way I've been introduced is, hey guys, thanks for coming. This is Patrick. Now, can we agree? It was like, hey, okay, now I got to take it from there. Here's my second introduction. Guys, thank you for coming. I'm all in on this. I'm incredibly excited. We have a top producing executive. I don't even know how I got him here. He's one of the top in the company. His name is Patrick Mazer. Patrick, thank you for being here. And I want to turn the meeting over to you. Now, which one do you think was more effective in signing people up? One, hey, here's Patrick, or two, edifying the speaker before the presentation starts. Now, that's something we did not do when we started. And we had meetings where people would raise their hand and ask questions. And all of a sudden, all the credibility of what we were doing was in question because the host didn't take time to share with them a proper introduction. Now, why do you have them repeat it back to you? Because until they say it, you don't know what they're going to say. So you say it and then teach them to say it by letting them say it. Now, do you see why you should be there early so that you can put this checklist off on things that you're ready to prepare for? Now, here's the other thing. You want to enroll them on helping you sort by opening breakout rooms to get the IBOs and promote the next training. So what does that mean? That means you want to enroll them in helping. Like, look, here's what our goal is tonight. Our goal is for you to get people in your business tonight and for you to get people to come to training that haven't signed up. We know a percentage of people might sign up that night, and we know a large percentage of people will sign up if they go to training. Now, if you're the host of the meeting, and at the end of the meeting, you're in a breakout room and Mary says, I like it, but I'm just not ready to do something. You've got to know what the next call of action is. Well, listen, Mary, Tuesday night, we have an incredible training. I want you to be there. Matter of fact, I'll be there with you and I'll send you a link for that training. So you got to enroll the host, and their job is promoting the training, and their job is also inviting their friends or their business contacts to join the team. Now, remember, if I'm new, I don't know those things. You've got to coach me. You got to show me exactly what I need to be doing as a new IBO in this training. Now, how to run a professional Zoom meeting. The first thing is we talked about the host. The host is extremely important because remember, the host knows all the guests. So the host knows Mary's a real estate professional. The host knows Bob is a mechanic. The host knows Timmy's a college student. See, the host has to take it upon themselves to say, guys, thank you for coming. Bob, hey, thank you for coming, Bob. Bob, this is Harsh Patel. He's going to be our presenter tonight. Harsh, you're going to love Bob. He's an engineer. He's an incredible friend of mine. Oh, good. Sally made it. Sally, thank you for coming. Sally has a bakery. Sally, this is Harsh. He's the presenter. I can't wait for you to get a chance to hear what he has to say. Now, do you see how they're warming up the audience? Do you see how they're naturally getting people engaged? Now, it's normal if you're the host to want to have people talk because these are people that you know and people that you invited. Now, second thing, the host now introduces the speaker. I usually start about 5 minutes after we said we would, just to honor everybody's time that showed up on time. And then we get the business up and running. Now, what does the speaker do? The speaker or the presenter reads the presentation. It's 6 slides, folks. It's 6 slides. Now, tell your story as you do the presentation. Now, my experience is I practice with people prior to the presentation that are going to present, just so they're comfortable with what to say. And if you're here tonight and you haven't practiced the presentation, it means you're not even thinking far enough down the road. Does that make sense? Meaning you're not even thinking about presentation mode. So I want you to think about that as we move through here tonight, because this is something that you're going to want to do. Now, have testimonials ready. See, here's what we experienced. We train testimonials every Friday night. And for those of you that have come to many Friday night trainings, you know that's part of our curriculum is training testimonials. Now, here's why. There's 3 things people are thinking when they go to a presentation. The first thing they're thinking is, what is it? can we agree the presentation explains what it is? Meaning if they were invited the right way, they shouldn't know a lot about ACN. I like when I come to a meeting and they go, I have no idea what's going on tonight. Great. That means you're a blank canvas. And then I can just take it from there and share with them exactly what they need to know. The second question everybody has in their mind is, does it work? Meaning, look, it sounds great. And this guy, Patrick, sounds like he knows what he's doing, but how do I know it works? Testimonials show people it works. If I were to call Jeff Street, testimonial, Noah Brandon, testimonial, JT Thomas, testimonial, they know when they're asked, it's what they're supposed to say. The testimonial is what puts people in the business because they show them it works by real live people sharing their testimonial. And the final question that people have in their mind is, can I do it? Now, we've been able to put together a close that helps people see that they can do it. Can you get a couple services? Yes. Can you invite a couple people to a Zoom? Yes. Welcome to the team. You can do ACN. Now, what do we say at the end of a presentation? We go into the breakout room. I say to people, did you like what you hear? Most people say yes, or yes, I have a question. And are you ready to get started? And then be quiet. When you ask somebody, are you ready to get started? Your job is to be quiet and literally count to 8 in your head. And the reason I say that, it takes people 5 to 8 seconds to process what you just asked them. So that's why you want to be quiet and let them talk so they can process what you asked them. Hey, are you ready to get started? Do you see an opportunity for yourself? 1, 2, 3, 4. Great, I do. Excellent. Let me go ahead and get you started. Or, hey, I've got some questions. No problem. What are your questions? Hey, that's a training question. That's what we're going to talk about in training. You're already asking me training questions. You're already down the road asking me questions that people ask me that go to training. So everybody understand this process. Now, this is something that I want you guys to pay close attention to. And the reason I do is because we got the PBZs down. Now, remember, I'm going to take you back to 2019. We were doing home meetings. Now, in home meetings, we used to drive to people's houses. We used to drive to people's houses and people wouldn't be there, meaning the host was there, but the guests weren't there. Now, in my mind, I was just like, you got to pay a price. Hey, every success book that I read, every audio I listened to always talked about paying a price. And I just expected, like, that's paying a price. Drove 4 hours one way. Nobody showed up at their home. They had some chips out, some cookies out. And we were like, okay, well, doesn't look like anyone's going to come. Okay, well, we can do it again next week. All right, see you later. By the time I backed out of their driveway, they mentally quit. And you know why they mentally quit? Because they thought, man, I'm not cut out for this. Man, you know what? I gave it a try. What was I even doing in this new business? I'm a plumber. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a college student. I'm an executive of a big company. What am I doing in this company? And so what we then started to realize was the reason they weren't having success is they were not using the words that work when they invited. Now, we would become maniacs about making sure that people knew the script. And here's why. Because what we started to do is we started to train them on the script. Now, how do you know that somebody knows what they're doing? You let them invite you. Does that make sense? If I give you the script to say, and then I let you invite, if you invite me, now I know you know the script. Now, we used to call this a coaching call. And so today, what we found is because it's so easy on Zoom, sometimes we don't teach them what to say. And they don't have the level of success that they could if they were able to practice the script. So to make sure you have a great Zoom, what do? Number one, you schedule the Zoom. Bob, what day do you want to have a Zoom? I think I want to do mine on Tuesday. Great. When can I call you on Sunday so we can have a coaching call? Did everybody see what I just did? I am setting up a coaching call before their Zoom meeting to prepare them for success. Now, what do you do when you get into that coaching call? You enroll them in what to say, meaning practice the script. Now, in order for you to practice something, you got to know it. And if you're here tonight and you don't master that script, you can't teach somebody something you do not own yourself, meaning you got to own it for you in order for you to teach it to somebody. Now, what does the script say? Do you look at other ways of making money? Do you look at other ways of making money? How many of you used the script and got a positive response? Look, I'm watching people use the script and they're having people show up because the script works. Now, once I ask somebody, you look at other ways of making money, we talk about edification. Hey, I ran into an individual that this individual's name's Harsh Patel. He's incredibly successful. At 6 p.m. on Tuesday, he's doing a Zoom presentation about his business, and I'd love for you to be there to get a chance to meet Harsh. He's incredibly successful. Can I put you down for coming? Now, if somebody talks about that and does it the way that we teach, they're going to have a yes situation show up. Sure, I'll come. Sure, I'll show up. Sure, I'll make a couple minutes out to come meet that individual. Now, once you get them comfortable with what to say, now you got to talk about who to call. See, that was the second thing we realized. Because we didn't tell them who to call, they were just calling the worst people they knew. How many of you did that? Where you went after, the brokest friend you had, or somebody that's been unemployed for 6 months, or whatever the situation may be. And then what we realized was, because we didn't tell them who to call, they were just randomly calling people. And so then what we did is we went back and we said, let's talk about A players. What are A players? Number one, business owner. Mike Kennedy, who you saw here tonight, he's a business owner. Peter Pasternak, business owner. Now how many of us agree these are the people that you want to call? Because if you notice who the top performers are, people that have business ownership experience. Now, if I'm a new person, I don't know to call business owners because you haven't explained that to me. So if I said to my friend Terry that's brand new in ACN, I said, Terry, how many business owners do you know? Well, Pat, I know a handful. Well, that's interesting. Who would you call if you needed your roof redone? Who would you call for accounting? Who would you call for law work? Who would you call for financial services? Who would you call for landscaping? Who would you call if you needed to sell your house? Who would you call if you needed insurance? Who would you call if you needed flowers? Who would you call if you needed to cater an event? Every single person I just mentioned is a business owner. Great. That's where we want to start. We want to call those business owners. Now, the second type of person is somebody who makes over 100 grand or more a year. Now, Alejandra Kalman, Vice President of Compliance for American Express. Can we agree? 6-figure earner. Guess what? She worked 23 years incredibly hard to get to the top of that company. When she came into ACN, she brought that work ethic with her. How many of us want that kind of work ethic in your team? Great. You got to tell people who to call. Now, the third type of person is people with network marketing experience. Great example, Noah Brandy. Noah Brandy came into ACN. He had already been in this industry before. It was easy for him to hit the ground running. It was easy for him to get promoted right away because he had experience. Now, let me tell you how I met Noah Brandy. I signed up a gentleman in Pittsburgh and I asked him, do you know anybody that's done something like this? He said, yeah, Noah Brandy. And he called Noah Brandy, who came to a presentation, signed up, and was the first regional vice president in Western Pennsylvania. How many of you understand he had experience? Now, we don't want to prejudge, but how many of us agree if we don't tell a new person who to call, they're going to call the worst people they know? Now, look, do you need a script to get your mom to come to a presentation? Probably not. Do you need a script to get your best friend to come to a presentation? Probably not. But do you need a script to get the business owners? Yes. Do you need a script to get people making 100 grand or more a year to come to a presentation? Yes. Do you need a script for somebody who's been in the direct sales industry? Absolutely. Now, confirmation list. So let me talk about this next. So here we were practicing with the script, getting people good with the script. You invite me, I invite you, you invite me, I invite you. We got them good with the script. Then we talked about who do you know? And they started rattling off. I know business owners and I know people that make 100. Okay, great. We got all that down. And they called those people and invited them to their house. We went and here's what we experienced. We still had situations where only 10% of the people came. 12% of the people came. And what we did is we sat back and we looked and we said, here's the problem. If the host is confirming their own people, how many of us agree you know those people? And if you're talking to your insurance agent and he says, hey, I can't make the meeting because, you know, little Timmy's got basketball practice, you know little Timmy. You're like, okay, I understand basketball is important, this, that, and the other. But if you let a third party, somebody else confirm the appointment, here's what we found: a 40% show up. Because if I call the insurance agent and say, hey, my name's Patrick Mazer, I'm calling you on behalf of Javon. Javon has you down for a meeting tonight. I cleared my schedule tonight to be at that meeting because Javon told me that you were the gentleman that I needed to meet. And I'm so excited to meet you at 6 o'clock tonight. I can't wait to see you. Now, the last thing the guy's going to say is, oh, I have to take little Timmy to basketball practice. Can we agree? He's going to say what? All right, I'll be there. Why? Because it's a stranger. Does that make sense? There's more respect giving to someone you don't know than someone you do know. Now, that I'm sharing with you right now literally changed our business from 10% show up to 40 to 60% show up. Now, if you take that over a large team of people, how many of us agree that's a huge improvement? And so now think about it. Think about what I just did. Now, I want all of you to think about your own meeting that you did. How many of your own meeting you practiced the script? How many for your own meeting you went through your list and said, I'm going to pick this business owner and that business owner and this person made 100 grand, that made. How many of you gave your confirmation list to the presenter before they did the presentation? How many of you see some things that you missed in the recipe and maybe the cake didn't come out the way you wanted it to? Not because the cake won't, because you skipped steps in the system. Look, if your mom gives you the recipe to make cake and you go, I don't agree with sugar, or I don't agree with salt, or I'm going to put a little more salt or a little less salt, it's not going to come out the way you want it. Now, this isn't about us. Listen, this is about thousands of people that are going to come in your team, that everybody's doing it the same way. Now, if you don't do it that way and you don't teach someone to do it that way, how many of us agree it's not going to come out the way you want it to come out? And I'm giving you 19 years and 20 years of experience. See, this is what I love about you coming into this team now. You should be breaking records because you're starting with the system, meaning you're not starting with the what do I need to do next. Now, let's say that you coached up the script. You got into their database of all the people that they know and all the people that they're going to give a phone call to, and they feel pretty comfortable about it. You talk about the list. You say, look, you know, before I do your meeting, I got to get that list. So just send it over day of your meeting. I'm going to do the confirmation calls just so that we have a better show up rate. Now, what's the last step here? The last step here is to weigh them on with a leader. Now, why do you do that? Because there's two things that are happening right now. If you three-way them on with the leader, and let's say I got my friend Brian on here, and Brian and I have been back and forth, and I've got him pretty good with the script, and I got him, you know, talking about who he's going to call, and he's all aboard with the confirmation call. I go, okay, Brian, listen, I'm going to put you on with Ken Potter. Now, let me tell you who Ken is. Ken is a top regional vice president. He's an incredible leader. And Ken told me anytime I meet somebody that is like you, that has the qualities that you have, he wants to get a chance to meet you. Fair enough? So let me get Ken on the line. Ring, ring. Hey, Ken, I got Brian on the other line. Do you mind talking to my new rep, Brian? Brian has a meeting on Tuesday night. His script is great. His list is great. We're going to blow it out on Tuesday night. Matter of fact, you're probably going to have to come because he's going to have so many people at a Zoom meeting. I'm going to need you to be there. So Ken's like, okay, great. Well, guess what the first thing Ken does? He edifies me. Hey, Brian, you're working with Patrick. Do you know that he's one of our top executives? Do you know that he's helping people? Now, why do you got to be edified? Because sometimes when you work with people, they don't listen with the right ear. How many of us would agree with that statement? Now, what sounds better? Ken, I'm one of the, what sounds better? Brian, I'm one of the top people in the company and you should hear what I have to say, or a third party saying it. A third party. See, the first thing they're going to do is edify you. How many of you realize you need to be edified by the people you're working with? Like they need to know that you showed up on Friday night, that you took notes on Friday night, that you didn't, shortcut this or, hey, I hope it works like a lottery ticket, that you actually are here seriously to build something of significance. First thing I do is I edify you. Man, you're working with Tina, you have an unfair advantage. Hey, you're working with Larry, you're working with Jason. Jason is an incredible leader. You have somebody great. Now, how are they going to look at you now? Man, I feel pretty good. I'm working with, one of the top people in the company. Third thing, here's what your expert does. Okay, Brian, go ahead and invite me. Now, Brian gets to invite somebody other than me. Does that make sense? Now I have him doing his first invite call to somebody other than me. Does everybody see now all of a sudden he has to do it again? Now, when he does it again, Brian's going to listen and say, you know what? Can I give you a little piece of advice? You didn't say this or say that. He's just going to polish that. Does that make sense? Like you already got it done, but he's going to polish it. And once he polishes that invite and says, listen, man, you're clear to go. Man, you sound good. Get on the phone, make a bunch of calls. I'm excited about working with you. And then watch what happens to his meeting. Now, here's my experience in this. I've watched people take this system that I just shared with you so far tonight and build massive teams. Had no pain, literally hit the ground, were able to make it work because they followed a system. Now, I saw other people come into ACN, change little things in the system, not literally help their new person go it the right way, not schedule their meeting, not put them, hey, we got to get a meeting on the books for you. And they didn't have a lot of success. And it wasn't that they couldn't, it was because they were changing what works. Look, I don't think any of us have 10 years of our life to throw away trying to figure something out, right? How many of us here want to come in, hit the ground running, have success, start to scale, everybody's saying and doing the same thing. Now, this is why this works so well, because we have something that we can go from. Now, if you look at the final piece of the puzzle is you go through 3 stages in ACN. Now, the first stage, you're in ACN. Now, you might be sitting here tonight saying, how can that be the first stage? Well, just because somebody signed up doesn't mean they're in ACN. There's people that signed up in ACN that said things like, don't tell my spouse. And I'm thinking to myself, if we're not going to tell your spouse, who the heck are you going to tell if you're not even telling the person you're sleeping with? How many of us agree, like, you're not going to have it, you're not in ACN? Right? Your neighbor don't know you're in ACN. Your best friend don't know you're in ACN. Your cousin don't know you're in ACN. So the first stage is you're in ACN. Now, welcome tonight because you're in the first stage. Minimum, everybody here is in the first stage. Does that make sense? Meaning you're in ACN. I'm probably, if I went to your house right now, somebody at your house would know you were in ACN, right? So you've made it to the first stage. Some people never make it to the first stage. Some people don't, they're private, they're secret agents, right? They're secret, they're agents of secrecy. Nobody knows what they're up to. Hey, what are you doing? You're doing a meeting. Oh, what kind of meeting is it? Second stage, right? Once you move on to the first stage, you go into the second stage. Now, the second stage is your non-negotiable to the system, meaning you will not sign anybody up that won't do a Zoom meeting. Like if they come in and go, well, I'll sign up, but I'm not going to do one of those Zoom meetings, you're not signing them up. Or they come in and go, hey, I don't want to follow the script. Well, guess what? It's not going to work. And I would rather somebody get their money back than fail. Because here's why. If somebody fails at something, they blame everybody but themselves, yes or no? So imagine if I recruited Rick and Rick got in and Rick was like, man, just not using the assist, not using the script. He's doing it his way. And I'm like, Rick, listen, you're going to fail. Get your money back. Because here's why. I don't want somebody to call you in 5 years and say, do you look at other ways of making money? You go, is that ACN? Man, let me tell you all about it. I tried that thing. They took $224 from me. I made no money. It was a horrible experience. Now, how many of us agree that person that called them is going to literally hang up the phone and call you back? Hey, I called my friend Rick. He told me these things don't work. He said he signed up in ACN. right? Now, that's the first conversation. Let me tell you the second conversation. Rick gets a phone call from somebody that says, you look at other ways of making money. He says, stop right there. Is that ACN? Man, listen, I tried that thing. I wasn't doing the way they told me. So they told me to get my money back. Now, can we agree that's a positive conversation, right? That new person's like, okay, well, you didn't do it the right way. They told you to get your money back. Great. That's not a negative conversation. A negative conversation is, I tried that and didn't make any money. Now, imagine if your new person called a friend and they said, I tried it and didn't make any money. The next call's to you. And now you're going to have to justify how people make money in ACN because their balloon was popped. So you've got to become non-negotiable. When I was working cities, you know, like a city, right? I used to tell people, we got to protect the city. Why? Because everybody knows everybody in a city. Yes or no? How many of you heard the old where it's 10 people removed or 12, 6 people removed from no one? Well, when I went into a city, I was like, look, we got to protect the city, because if we have all these casualties of people that don't make any money, it's going to come back to us. Like, they're going to be like, oh, I heard of that. Hey, my cousin told me about that. Don't do that one. I tried that one. So we'd have to protect the city by making sure you are non-negotiable. Now, some of you are in stage 2. You're non-negotiable. Most of you aren't. Most of you will take an application, not schedule a meeting, not do a confirmation call, be okay with no confirmation list, not really teach them what to say, right? How many of you agree? There's some of you, you don't have to raise your hand. I know you're here, right? I mean, think about even your own situation. How many of you got an ACN, didn't follow the script, didn't make a list, didn't go after business owners, didn't introduce the host the right way, right? Think about, and you made it this far. How many of you are like, I made it this far and I have been completely off the system, right? That's why we're doing this training tonight, is to get you on the system, right? And then the final step, this is the part where you have to accept the work ethic. Now, when we went out and got that franchise, they force-fed the work ethic. Does that make sense? You will be here every day. You will put 12 hours a day in. See, you've got to accept the work ethic in ACN. See, there's work involved here. You've got to accept that you got to do a lot of work. Now, let me tell you the good news with ACN. There will be a day, if you stick it out, that you can literally become unimportant. You can become unimportant. How many of you here, right? How many of you here have gotten an opportunity to sit in a Zoom on the Rockstar team and get a chance to hear Mr. Danny Volanino do a training on a Rockstar Zoom? How many of you had that opportunity where Danny came into one of our Tuesday nights or Thursday nights or Sunday? How many of you, or Friday night, how many of you had Danny V ever come in here? He hasn't. He's called unimportant. Does that make sense? Meaning we produce tons of customers and lots of money. And most of you, if not 99% of you that are within your first 90 days, would walk past him in the mall and wouldn't know who he was. You would just say, that's another rich guy at the mall. Why? Because he's unimportant. You know why he's unimportant? Because he's duplicated. Does that make sense? How many of you want to become unimportant one day? How many of you want to be, hey, what are you up to? Anything I want to. Why? Because I got all these other people out there duplicating and getting customers and growing their business, and I am equity tied into their success. That means the better they do, the better I do. We're equity tied in people's success. Now, the reason I say that, the only way you can become unimportant is with the system. It's the only way. Now, let me give you another example. Who's the most important person in a McDonald's franchise? The manager. Why? Because if the manager don't come, can we agree the door doesn't get open, the register doesn't get turned on, the grill doesn't get turned on, and the customers don't get fed? Who's the least important person at the McDonald's franchise? The owner. And who makes all the money? The owner. Who's what? Extremely unimportant. And you know why the owner can be unimportant at McDonald's? Because they have a system. Because once that system gets up and working, the owner doesn't need to come in. They know to turn the flyers on. They know to go out and do what's necessary to make this work. Has this helped anybody tonight? How many of you had a big aha moment, like, you know what? I didn't follow the script. And because I didn't follow the script, how do I expect the next person to do something that I didn't show them how to do? See, you might have so much personal power that you could call somebody, they could show up, but what if you called me? and I was selling t-shirts and you said, hey, Patrick, it's me, your doctor, Bob. Get over to my house. I want to show you something. And there I came over to your house and I said, this is amazing. And I signed up. And then I turn around and start calling people I know saying, hey, it's Patrick, get over to my house. I don't have that personal power. Do you see how you set me up to fail from the very beginning? Because you brought me into something that I can't replicate. But if you said to me, Patrick, do you look at other ways of making money? And I said, yes. And they said, man, you got to meet Javon. And he's an incredible leader. And he has an amazing story. And he's going to talk to you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I can't wait for you to meet Javon. And I said, okay, great. And I come to the presentation and I sign up and I go to training and they teach me that script that you used on me. If the script worked on me, can we agree? I'll use a script on every human being I know because it worked on me, just like a joke. How many of you told a joke, right? The next person heard the joke and they tell the joke. Why? Because it worked on them, made them laugh. It's going to make the next person laugh. So even though we have a super simple business, so does McDonald's. But if you change something in the system, you change the outcome. Now, tomorrow, we've got an incredible event. We're going to do a game on event. It's going to start at 11 a.m. East Coast time. And, you have people that need training. You have people that their confidence is low. You have people that their belief system's low. You've got people that maybe are new that you want to see win, but they don't have the ability to win because they don't have the tools to win. Well, tomorrow's training anybody can plug into because it's going to be on a Zoom-like situation. Now, here's what's exciting is I know some of you are doing some get-togethers. I believe, Melissa, you have some team members, right, that are even getting together to watch the game on event.
Yeah, we are so excited. We've got Mark Washam, regional director, and Cody Thompson, executive team leader. They're hosting a get together in Castle Hills, Texas. They've rented out a room space so that everyone could be together. And then we've got executive team leader Rebecca Castro hosting something out in Fort Worth, Texas as well. So I know several people in our organization are actually hosting get together. So it's just going to be exciting. There's something different when it's one thing to watch it by yourself, right? Yes or no. But when you can be amongst side by side and inspire and encourage and learn together, it's total immersion. So we're pumped up for our group.
And here's what I love is I know there's other people that are sharing a Zoom where they're getting their Zoom link out and saying, hey, Tina, hey, Polly, hey, Matt, let's all get on my Zoom link. Let's watch it together on my Zoom so that we're still together as we're watching it. Does that make sense? But there's also some accountability there, yes or no? See, if I have Rick on that Zoom and he's watching it with me at 11 a.m. Eastern time, how many of us, I know he's on there, right? I don't have to question, like, what's he doing? Why? I see him, he's on there. Lunch break happens. Hey, what day next week you want to launch your business? What day next week you want to go at it? What day next week are we going to have your launch, your real launch? Now, that's going to be something that is a tool that can allow for you to learn the compensation plan, get tips and techniques and ideas on how to market your services and how to take this thing to a whole nother level. I can't wait to be there because I know the value of training. We don't make no money on training, but we make a lot of money with trained people. Now, here's the other thing. How many of you here tonight are ready to launch your business the right way? Like, how many of you are tonight like, you know what? I've been playing with this. I haven't done it the way you said. I got this far on just sheer determination and throwing stuff at it. And I got a motivated upline and they're doing a lot of the work and they're doing things for me that, you know what I mean? How many of you realize, like, man, I got this far with literally, half the things that I learned tonight. Imagine how far I can go if I start tomorrow with, like, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm going to practice the script. I'm going to get my list out. I'm going to make those calls. I'm going to introduce the speaker the right way. I'm going to expect people to sign up. I'm going to bring the excitement into my Zoom meeting. And I'm going to give those people that follow behind me a fighting chance for success. Why? Because I am going to be the greatest example of what a system looks like. See, when Ray Kroc started to duplicate the McDonald's franchise, the first thing that he did? He took a franchise in Illinois and he made it this flagship franchise. And he would take people to his franchise to show them how it worked. And his franchise was the model franchise that he sold thousands of franchise from because he had the model franchise. You got to be the model franchise for the people following behind you, meaning you got to show them the way to do it so that they can replicate the exact same way that you're doing it. And this is what's going to allow for you to scale. It's going to allow for you to build. It's going to allow for you to we're going to take 2022 on by storm, because what we did in living rooms, we're now going to do on Zooms. And now we're going to use the same system that we crushed living rooms around the United States with, and we're going to do it on Zoom. That is going to allow us to put in 20,000 reps a month. How do I know that? Because that's our battle cry for years now. We want to put 20,000 people a month into ACN. Now, some of you might be thinking, how's that even possible? It's possible if we have trained people. You know, I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Way to Win. And thank you, Mike Jeffries, regional director. He gave it to me. And there was two things that resonated with me. One, he talked about Jesus. And he said, Jesus came to the earth and he could have done it any way he chose. But what did he do? He took 12 people, right? And he mentored them and he coached them and he ate with them and he showed them what to do and he gave them the example and then he let them go. 2,000 years later, how did those 12 people do? How many of you agree they did pretty good? Right or wrong? They're going through the world right now, yes or no? They're duplicating, they're multiplying, they're selling people onto their idea. Now, he also referenced in the book that there were two football coaches, professional football coaches, that 85% of all Super Bowl championship teams, 85% came from two coaches. Meaning two coaches that if you trace back all the people that won championships, all studied under these two coaches, whether they were the assistant coach, whether they volunteered, whether they ran the film room, but they were around two coaches that ended up producing 85% of all the successful teams that have ever won a Super Bowl in the NFL. Does everybody see that? It was because of that example. They showed them an example that they took that example and they went out and became successful at coaching. So guys, we got a big day tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed tonight. We're going to do this again next week. We're going to teach this. How many of you wish you had more people on here so they're rowing the boat the same way? Does that make sense? Like, how many of you wish, like, as you bring more people in, they're rowing the boat the same way? Now, for those of you that haven't registered, this is how you register for that event. Make sure that you're there and your people are there. Again, this is a way for you to get registered for this Game On event. Look, I want to make sure everybody's there at 11 a.m. So I would definitely pull my Zoom together. I would be texting my team at 10:45, come have coffee with me, get in here, bring your coffee. Let's all do it. For those of you that are getting together, even better. For those of you that are doing Zooms and bringing your team into the Zooms and sharing it, even better. These are the things that are going to build your team and build you and build your organization long term. And then, look, the last piece of the puddle is going to be January 29th. We're going to do a live event in Dallas, Texas. We're bringing it back to Dallas. We anticipate that to be the biggest event that we've had for the entire year of 2021. We believe January's 2022, the 29th day of January, will be the biggest event that we've had compared to the entire year of 2021. Now, I just want to give you that information. Make sure you know that, put it in your date book, because you want people to know exactly what days to take off if they're at work or they got to get childcare or whatever their situation is. That's exactly what you want to make sure of, just so that people win. So with that being said, if you can stop sharing, it'd be awesome. And I hope you got something out of tonight. This was recorded, so we will have this recording made available to everybody so you could listen to it. Look, when you hear things, your brain starts to wonder because you think about things. But I kept talking even though your brain was wondering after I said something. Does that make sense? How many of you hear something, you think about it, but we keep talking and then you show up a little later down the road in the conversation. That's why you've got to listen to something multiple times, because you hear something different every time you listen to it. Now, some of you might not have heard three-way them into somebody else so that they can practice the invite. Some of you might not have heard the confirmation list. Some of you might not have heard the 3 stages of ACN because your brain was going as you're listening to it. But then if you hear it again, you'll pick up more information and you're going to be further down the road when it comes to leadership. And look, it's hard not to get excited. I mean, I've been waiting 20 years for what we have right now, that we can walk into a system that's already there, that I can stare a single mom in the face and say, you too can be a senior vice president. That I can go to somebody that said, hey, I got no car because I had a little scrape with the law and they took my license for a couple months. Doesn't matter. You can be a senior vice president here. Do you realize I could never say that in 2019? Do you realize that you had to have a car to show this business? Do you realize if you had 2 kids and you were a single mom, there was no way you were going to put one under each arm and go living room to show this opportunity, because you wouldn't be able to do it. You know, today, every hurdle's gone. Every obstacle's been eliminated. Every single challenge that anybody has been gone. And you got the entire world now waking up to the reality of, I don't want to work for somebody, because I've experienced what it feels like not to have to go into work, but have work come to me. And now we've got an opportunity to take this around the world together. There's no accidents here tonight, folks. This has been orchestrated. We are going to do this in a way that people are going to write books about what we're about to do. They're going to be thanking you years from now because you had the fortitude and the vision and the willingness to go out and do something that most people are unwilling to go do. And look, it ain't about the stuff. You'll get the stuff and your bank will be full and you're not going to have to worry about money. It's a great feeling when you get there. But in the end, it's who you became. It's the lives that you've touched and the person that you became. It's you being proud at who you're staring back at in that mirror every day because you were willing to go do something that other people were unwilling to do. So I think the only way to end tonight is probably the only way we should end tonight, was with a word of prayer and in the gratitude, because we're here, we made it, we're here. All we got to do is implement. We don't got to experiment. We don't got to fool around. We don't got to hope and pray and wish and all those other things. All those words are eliminated. All we got to do is take action and show the world what we got our hands on here tonight. So it's been my honor to be with all of you. Can't wait for tomorrow. I'm going to send it over to Regional Vice President Ken and Susie Potter. Thank you both for all you do.
Thank you, Patrick. What a great night. Let's all bow our heads in gratitude and we'll wrap up tonight. Father God, thank you so much. What a powerful call tonight. Lord, we know that you're in control. This, like Patrick said, you've ordained tonight. We know that you connected all of the dots for all 190 plus people to come on this call tonight. And we're grateful for that. We're grateful for the system. We're grateful for the opportunity of ACN, for the ability to build a global business from home. Father, you knew that would happen. We didn't, but you did. And you knew that we'd be all of us would be here tonight sharing in this amazing opportunity. Thank you for the 4 co-founders of the company. Father, we know that there are people on this call tonight, though they were empowered and emboldened tonight, Lord, that they have physical challenges and spiritual challenges. And we pray for protection and healing for them and that peace that goes beyond all understanding. Father, we acknowledge tonight that you are our rock. You're our fortress. You are our deliverer. We know that you are for us and you are with us. And we want to live for you, to be ambassadors in the world, but we need your boldness. We need your courage and we need your power. Embolden us with courage to speak up and to speak out. Be our rock, Father. Deliver us from every fear and make us stronger than we've ever been before. And through that, through your power in us, 20,000 representatives a month through the people that are on this call. And we pray this prayer in Jesus' mighty name. And everybody said, Amen.
God bless everyone. Good night.
Awesome. Good having all of you on.